Hello, I'm Dr. Anime. Please think about subscribing since we are getting close to 2,000 subscribers. The narrative opens with a professor hard at work who receives a visit from a pharmaceutical business representative. The man draws attention to the professor's apparent overwork, but there is no denying the caliber of his research and the fact that his invention of new medication would save the lives of countless people. Next, it is shown to us what motivates a professor when he remembers his little sister. He had to watch as the medical professionals decided that her sickness was incurable and gave up on her. Since then, the professor has devoted his entire life to creating novel medications. He seldom gets any sleep and mostly depends on energy drinks and snacks to stay awake. The lecturer would put a note on his wrist and give himself a 46-minute break after finishing a task. He hopes to one day work as a town pharmacist, but it has been a long time since he truly engaged with a patient. But when his assistant came back the following day, he was no longer with us. When the professor awoke, a girl was by his side, telling him he had been hit by lightning. The professor realizes right away that something has changed in his speech, and his heart starts to accelerate. Subsequently, the girl would disclose that his true name is Pharma de Medicis. Pharma doesn't recall a lot of things but understands that he must have died from overworking himself in his prior existence. The girl addresses Pharma as Charlotte and points out some odd markings on her body. He clarifies that it must only be a burn from the lightning, but she thinks it's a sacred mark. Nonetheless, Charlotte is certain that Panactheos, the god of medicine, was defending him. She offers to assist him in remembering since she is worried that he has forgotten fundamental information about the world. Pharma belongs to the illustrious Medicis family, which is composed entirely of regal pharmacists. Bruno, his father, is the president of the Imperial School of Pharmacy and a man of exceptional talent. Pharma's sister is Blanche, and her mother is Beatrice. He has an elder brother, Pelé, who is presently enrolled in the world's most esteemed medical school overseas. Charlotte goes on to describe the divine arts, which are miracles seen as the creation of the gods. Since Pharma seems to have forgotten everything about it, Charlotte worries that it's really just magic. She worries that if he can't recall how to employ divine arts, which is the mark of nobility, he won't be accepted as a noble and will be forced to leave the estate. Subsequently, Pharma recalls that she had informed him that he might employ the heavenly art of water, but that in order to do so, he needed to visualize the shape of water. He tries it, seeing the molecular makeup of water, and discovers that his markings start to sparkle. Pharma shoots water outside in a panic as it starts to run out of his hands uncontrolled. When he eventually gets it to stop, he begs for it to stop and discovers that Charlotte was soaked by it. He watered the garden for her, so she's relieved he recalls how to employ the heavenly arts and doesn't mind getting wet. Pharma chooses to try producing other products after realizing how simple that was. He discovers that while he can create simple chemicals and substances like sodium chloride and gold, he cannot create mixes. While his right hand removes substances, his left hand is capable of creating them. When Charlotte shows up to celebrate, she discovers that he must have also lost everything he knows about medicine. This is particularly troubling because his father frequently asks unexpected questions about medications during meals. Charlotte takes him to their library and tells him that since he was a young child, he has had special education in pharmacology. Pharma is then taken aback to discover that he has retained all of the lessons and can comprehend them. After that, he goes to supper with his family, who are all relieved to see him well. Given that this family has lost a real son, Pharma can't help but feel sorry for them and believes he must continue on as Pharma for the benefit of all. Bruno tests his understanding of the medication that helped him heal, as was to be expected, and Pharma passes with ease. Satisfied, his father gives him the go-ahead to pick up his lessons the following day. When he does, Pharma runs into Eleanor, his tutor, who senses a problem. She backs off when Pharma claims his memory is only hazy after being struck by lightning, even though he is not as composed or endearing as he normally is. Given this, she determines they should go over the fundamentals of heavenly arts. Every person gifted in the divine arts has a guardian deity. That's Panactheos for him and his father, but Hydrotheus for her. The divine arts include 5 characteristics: fire, water, air, earth, and none. Everyone has both advantages and disadvantages, although not much is known about the none characteristic and it hasn't been observed in 300 years. Pharma is curious about it. She replies that it's not feasible when he asks what someone with the capacity to make any substance would be. That kind of person would be regarded as either a demon or a deity. Later, Eleanor gives Farmer permission to use her wand since she finds it unbelievable that he neglected to bring his divine wand, which is used to govern and magnify the arts. She offers him a demonstration because she wants him to shoot a water sphere, but he can't remember how. Following that, she reminds him to recite the incantation aloud as Palma gets ready to try it for the first time. They both gasp in amazement when Palma unleashes a tremendous burst of water that sends Eleanor hurtling into the air. She finds it hard to believe he was able to wield such power in the absence of a spell. When she explains that a person's complete divine power is fixed and that he might have already utilized it all, she becomes worried. She checks his remaining amount with a meter, but when it breaks, she gets scared. Eleanor clarifies that it was a colorless capacity break that exhibited both favorable and unfavorable characteristics. No one has ever gone over the meter before, so she's not even sure exactly what that signifies. When Palma tries to clarify that the marks on his arms are simply burns, she discovers that they are in fact holy symbols known as panactheos. She explains that he must keep everything a secret from everyone and that he will never be able to hold another meter. Later on, Palma assists her in navigating after she misplaces her glasses and observes that she is trembling, but she attributes it to her eyesight impairment. After that, he would show her a technique to improve her vision so that he could tell that she had sprained her finger. When Palma discovers the source of a medical condition, the hue shifts from blue to white. She expresses her surprise once more and says that panaceas detects all illnesses and provides remedies. Eleanor is terrified because Palma appears to have the divine eye of Panactheos, and she knows that power is not human. Even more terrifying, though, is her observation that he lacks a shadow. She breaks down in tears and swears never to tell anyone about it, vowing to live a lie. Later, Eleanor tells Palma's father that she is ill and has decided to stop tutoring completely, and he asks to give her some medication. Palma agrees to do it and acts as though she has no idea why. After concluding that the medication is ineffective for treating fever, he manufactures some of his own. Eleanor starts to worry that he has come to kill her because she knows his secret when he pays her a visit. Although Palma clarifies that he is carrying medications given by his father, she believes he may be attempting to flee in order to poison her. He has also brought the ointment for her jammed finger and the medication he produced, but she fears those items may also be contaminated. Pharma says that he would never hurt her and that he still wants her to be his tutor. Pharma is very positive that he is still human, despite her assertion that he is obviously an incarnation of Panactheos and doesn't need to learn anything. She begs him to spare her miserable life in exchange for his keeping all of his secrets. Pharma says that he really isn't able to control his skills just yet and asks her to keep educating him. Since there isn't any writing about the holy arts, he apologizes for frightening her, but it appears that she has already made up her mind. He also expresses gratitude for all that she has done for him. She would argue later over taking the medication he prescribed. She chooses to put her trust in the god Panaxios because he has a reputation for kindness. When they next cross paths, Eleanor warns that teaching someone like him could be risky and that she needs to continue to defend herself. Pharma expresses gratitude, but says she had no option since she would feel accountable if he lost control of his extraordinary abilities. She is actually the one who is grateful because his medication performed even better than her father's. After that, the two travel to an unpopulated island where Pharma can study more divine arts without fear of his secret being revealed. Although he struggles with control, the two are hopeful that it will eventually become apparent. Afterwards, Pharma would transform from blue to white as a result of using his supernatural vision to detect and diagnose staff members' ailments. As he practices, he discovers that the light goes away if he can ascertain that a full recovery is achievable. However, if not, the adult light persists. Pharma pauses to consider how, should his powers and absence of shadows be found, he will probably be taken into custody and, in the worst situation, put to death. In order to stop that situation, he devises a method to win people over. He can manufacture the substance in any form as long as he understands its makeup. Combining the skill with his understanding of pharmaceuticals, Pharma creates multiple remedies for the employees. Charlotte is the first beneficiary. He offers her cream to help her hands dry up from all the hard work. He says he'll prepare plenty for everyone, but she wants to share with the rest of the crew. He would then administer each person's unique prescription for their specific ailment. Charlotte explains that the reason they are all so appreciative, some even to the point of tears, is that their superiors have never before given them medicine. She says that socioeconomic position is usually taken into consideration when choosing patients. Pharma finds that offensive, but Charlotte clarifies that the servants could still purchase the medication. This only makes Pharma angrier, and he starts to consider ways to make more accessible. high-quality medication. His efforts are acknowledged by Charlotte, who believes that one day he will excel as a pharmacist. Pharma later meets with his parents, who inform him that his younger sister has chicken pox and that only a chosen group of staff would be permitted to be near her in order to prevent the illness from spreading. Bruno reminds Pharma that even though he had chicken pox years ago, he should still avoid close contact because reinfection can still occur in certain rare circumstances. Pharma is astounded that Bruno is aware of this, given that the truth was only recently learned on Earth. Pharma detects a cough as Bruno leaves for a conference that he has to attend. Pharma is manufacturing chickenpox treatment, putting his incredible intelligence and skills on full show. After that, he visits Blanche, who is concerned that he would be caught, but he reassures her that everything is okay because he sneaked in. He says the treatment he concocted can actually be taken with a delightful food, but she refuses to take the bitter, disgusting medicine. Then, when their father claims there is no treatment for their chickenpox, Blanche starts to doubt. He clarifies that maybe their father had forgotten about it and that he had just discovered it in a book. Pharma says they should keep it a secret because he could feel awful if he found out. Blanche goes on to say that because he had never spent time with her in the past, he is now very different. She acknowledges that she loves her new brother, even though it seems a little strange to her, and Pharma can't help but think of his other sister. When Bruno comes back later, she tells him that the reason Blanche recovered so rapidly was due of a secret. Pharma considers all of his powers while he is by himself, including a recent one that lets him magnify objects by covering his right eye with his right hand. He starts to question whether he can truly continue to use them all without incurring any costs. When he gets called to see his father, he has completed building a microscope. Bruno informs them that they have an urgent house call with the Empress, and they have to go right away. Pharma is worried about Bruno's cough, but before he can examine it, somebody interrupts. When they get there, they discover Empress Elizabeth is seriously ill. Pharma helps his father diagnose her condition and is struck by how different the process is from what he is used to. Later, Pharma is shocked to hear them declare that the stars are in a terrible situation, meaning her destiny is almost done. Pharma can smell the components Bruno is using to identify he has made an anesthetic potion, but Bruno will still try his utmost to treat her. Elizabeth wants him to tell her honestly if she is no longer worth saving. However, he denies that to be true. Pharma is aware that the medication he has created is insufficiently potent, despite his claims to the contrary. Bruno is obviously merely attempting to ease her pain, and the others make plans for a priest to visit the next day. Pharma realizes he can no longer wait around. After realizing to his dismay that everyone has given up, he diagnoses her with tuberculosis, bronchitis, and lung cancer with his divine sight. He is constrained by the technology in this planet, thus the answer won't be easy. As time runs out, he responds to the footage. He makes the decision that he has just one chance to assist her. As the strain increases, Pharma at last experiences what it's like to interact with the patient firsthand. At that moment, the son of the Empress rushes in, devastated to see his mother in such horrible shape. Pharma decides that action is finally warranted. He tells Elizabeth that there is a new medication for her condition and asks for permission to treat her. Although Bruno believes he is pulling a cruel joke, the Empress is willing to give him a chance. She chooses to trust Pharma after he reveals that he believes he has identified the nature of her disease. Since the young Pharma appears to be the only one who hasn't given up, she needs to tell the others to shut up. Elizabeth then authorizes him to begin working at Pharmagit's. To avoid being disturbed, he locks himself in a room and devises a remedy. Pharma concludes that in order to keep the bacteria from developing resistance, he needs to utilize for separate medications. He is, however, cut off by his father, who informs him that while he was able to identify her ailment as the White Death, there is no known cure. Pharma is once more in awe of Bruno because, unlike him, he was able to diagnose her. Bruno says he's not happy because he thinks Pharma is just giving the Empress false hope. But Pharma clarifies that the medication he mentions is true and that he will also need to take it. Pharma keeps working, but is again halted. Pharma tries to calm Bruno down when he asks what he has planned, but it's too late. Following a brief divine arts interaction, Bruno is taken aback by Pharma's lack of use of an invocation and starts to question the boy's identity. When Bruno discovers Pharma's notebook, he tells how he dreamed about new medications the day he was struck by lightning. When Bruno sees the holy scars on his arm, he is taken aback to learn that Pinaxios has bestowed a huge blessing upon his kid. Pharma wants to take credit for the drug and deliver it to the Empress. Bruno declines, stating that he is the rightful owner of the medication that Pharma has created. Moreover, the Empress has put her life on pharmaceuticals, and as a result, Pharma gives it to her by mistake. Pharma recognizes this and gets rid of the ice he made. Bruno is taken aback by this. As positive water is Pharma's strongest suit, it follows that although he has always been able to create it, he shouldn't be allowed to remove it. He asks again whether he is truly his son, to which Pharma just responds that he believes he is. When Pharma shows up to start the therapy, the chief medical officer asks Bruno if he should stop his kid. He admits, though, that he won't because Pharma might already be more skilled than they are. Pharma asks her to examine everything she believes to be weird critters under his microscope before he starts, while everyone else observes. According to Pharma, bacteria are minuscule organisms that are responsible for the White Death. They have the potential to cause her illness as well as others. But a full recovery is anticipated provided the medication he is providing her is taken as directed for the next 6 months. This knowledge modifies their entire understanding of illness. Pharma publicly bets his life on his treatment plan once she accepts it and drinks it. He tells everyone that if the medication works, there will be a treatment for the illness, and they won't have to worry about the White Death. While driving home, Bruno reflects on how he has ignored his own son in favor of his patients. Still, he knows the child in front of him is not the Pharma he knew. Upon their arrival, Pharma shows relief at the Empress's ability to drift off to sleep and inquires as to whether his father would be open to taking the medication. Bruno accepts that Pharma has been blessed by Panactheos and admits that he still has a lot to learn. Pharma clarifies that he is not accurate. Nevertheless, even though he possessed the expertise necessary to develop the medication, he was unable to comprehend the demands of a patient who was about to pass away. He picked up that knowledge from Bruno. Pharma clarifies that his intelligence is rudimentary and crude. He requests that they both follow the medical road, acknowledging that his father is exceptional in these areas. As they are greeted by the rest of their family, his father concurs and compliments his son. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do subscribe to the channel and click on the screen for more contents like this. See you over there, Arigatou.